Hang on, I need to put up a second intro. April 2000. The residents of small mining town Grantville, West Virginia, are currently in the middle of a wedding reception when a flash of light and a clash of thunder shake the entire city. Soon the people of the town realize that something is very wrong. May 1631. German soldiers are relieving some of the stress of the 30-Year War by pillaging, raping, and killing some of the local peasants. Suddenly, from the hills come strange men, carrying weapons far more advanced than they have ever seen. Weapons that can fire more than once without reloading, by God. And that was the day the 17th century savagery met the American way. Yes, it's 1632 by Eric Flint, the alternate history novel about an entire 20th century American city getting transplanted 400 years into the past, into central Germany during one of the biggest wars in all of history. Let me preface this by admitting that I know almost nothing beyond the most basic information concerning the 30-Year War. I've just never had any serious interest in the various religious and political dick-waggings that were going on in mid-millennial Europe, unless it had anything to do with Ingmar Bergman films. Which isn't to say there isn't a lot to learn from this war, but I'd much rather be reading about the Renaissance than the Protestants and Catholics didn't like each other in big bold letters over and over again. So this puts me at a disadvantage as to whether or not 1632 is good alternate history. But seeing as how Eric Flint has a master's degree in history and writes almost nothing but books for this genre, I'll simply take his word that this is how these alliances and events would change if Germany suddenly had a big old cowboy boot up the ass. This concept of transplanting people from different times and seeing what would happen is nothing new, of course, as anyone who loves Mark Twain can attest. What Eric Flint seems to be attempting with this book, what makes it different from, say, S.M. Stirling's Island in the Sea of Time, is an apparent focus on the little people. Flint's ultimate thesis here, as detailed in the afterwords at the end of the book, is that history is shaped by the small actions of small people, and not so much by big historical heroes. A group of peasants and anonymous soldiers are what really decide things. This is a far more realistic take on history, and for that I applaud Flint. But this ultimately leads to this book's ultimate downfall. Namely, an ensemble of characters so large that there is no way to flesh them out beyond the simplest of characterizations. We have both an entire city of 3,000 people and the cast of the 30-Year War to juggle, and for the most part, each character might as well be wearing a name badge that says, "My name is blank and I am the blank. My name is Melissa and I am the liberal. My name is Simpson and I am the crooked CEO," and so on and so on. Only a small handful of characters get anything beyond that, and even then, it's still not much. The historical figures get a little more love, and it's clear that Flint has more fun figuring out the personalities of historical figures than creating fresh ones from the ether. This also leads to little gray area in terms of character morality. All the good guys are upstanding and strong, and all the bad guys are sniveling evil backstabbers and tyrants. I guess the bad guys would have to be, because god damn, do the residents of this time period take to the American values of justice, freedom of speech, and miniskirts to heart quickly. In fact, the book has very little in terms of culture clash. The various warring forces of the Germans and the Swedish and what have you simply assess this new community in terms of their value in the war, as opposed to, what the fuck is this witchcraft? For that matter, the people of Grantsville accept their time shift situation way too easily. They figure it all out in 3 days, shrug their shoulders, and go, well, 30-Year War, everyone. Let's go rebuild America. Seriously, instead of panic and moan the fact that they'll never see their out-of-town loved ones again, they decide to start the American Revolution early, creating first the new United States of Europe, and then becoming the Confederated Principalities of Europe. Yeah, this is kind of an America fuck yeah book. Not so far to be totally obnoxious, but it's still there. Flint is very pro-Union and pro the American way, and again, the 17th century locals just eat it up with little question. Oh, and to top all of this off, like the little cherry it is, there are a handful of time-crossed, love-at-first-sight Disney-esque romances that litter the book. It basically boils down to a 17th century girl falling for the first decently groomed 20th century man she sees, and these things really are eye-rolling. Yeah, suffice to say, I find this book a bit silly for my liking. It seems that in order to have his historically realistic narrative, Flint had to sacrifice an engaging prose narrative. It's far from groan-worthy bad, but it's still just kind of nagged at me as I read it. So yeah, this book is a loss, right? Actually, not at all. Taken on its own, this book isn't that great. However, Eric Flint has done something awesome here by opening up the 1632 universe and allowing other authors to contribute. Several novels, short story collections, and online fiction have been produced, with dozens of authors contributing to this universe. That's pretty damn cool. And as a starting point for this project, Flint's style actually has its advantages. For example, the abundance of one-note characters allow for new authors to pick some out of the pile and develop them themselves. Will I be continuing my trek in the 1632 universe? Yeah, probably not. While I'm certain to find stories in this series that I like more than this one, there's still the fact that I'm not that interested in this historical era. Still, I'm really happy that this kind of thing exists for fans of this series and this genre, and I wish we had more similar projects in every genre for new authors to sink their teeth into. So, will you like 1632? That really depends on how strongly you like alternate history and the 30-Year War. If you enjoy that kind of stuff and want to get into the heart of the 1632 collaboration project, then getting through this book is probably necessary, and it's not painfully awful. Actually, here's a litmus test for you. Would a peppy cheerleader becoming a sniper in war and ending up with no psychological problems make you throw a book in frustration? Because, well, that happens. The choice is yours.